Okay, so here's the BambuLabs P1P. Quick sync. Pretty big box, so it was a little bit hard to get in frame, so I'm going to try to do my best to get everything as visible as possible. And I do want to show the setup process real time as far as possible. For this step, we're just going to take it out of the box, which I don't count as setup process. So yeah, we'll get to that part. So first thing to note is on the box, actually, it has a QR code to tell you where the instructions are, which I will check and which I will include in the time to set up, because that seems fair enough. I think we can manage an unboxing without a tutorial. Well, I sure as hell hope. We're going to try, at least. It's quite a complicated little thing. So with this flap, we have these thingies. You can take those off. That should be easy enough. It kind of says we need to take these parts. So let's do that. Very well packaged, by the way. So it should be for this price, I guess. Let's see if we can actually lift this. Yes, we can. Ooh. That's quite a thing. There we go. Yeah, so it's as an inner cardboard box. I hope that shows up. So there's an inner cardboard box lined with this pretty thick plastic stuff. It also has plastic on the top with the airbag thingies, which is pretty neat. And all the corners are protected with foam stuff. Let me actually get back in frame. There we go. So that's pretty good foam stuff around all the corners, also at the bottom. So let's get that out of the way. Looks like we didn't need a tutorial to unbox it, so that's good. Here we go. Let's actually see if I can somewhat get that in frame. Yeah, it's so big. Let's quickly drop you down a little bit. Okay, so I probably want to move a little bit back. So let's get you over here. Let's get you a little bit of extra light. Oh, let's see. What's going on here? Okay. So, that's a good smell. So this is my first 3D printer. Nice little quick start guide taped to the box. We will be reading that, because setting this up definitely is going to require a little bit of work, although I didn't watch any videos, so it could be easier than I think, but I think it's still going to be a thing. Again, good packaging. Made sure everything is well attached. So what I'm curious is whether or not this includes the lights, and I don't think it does. So that's an interesting point. Although they might have included it in the box, so who knows? Let's see. If they haven't, I'm going to have to contact support, which is also good, because then we can at least check out what support is like. There we go. Rather have everything included, which means I could get started with this a little bit quicker, but can't hold them all. So this is probably going to be at least filament, considering the weight. And this box opens like... Oh, there we go. Oh. There. That should do the trick. not the best pair of scissors. It's probably better to use a box cutter for this anyways, but this is the tool I have at hand, so this is the tool that we'll have to do. Very stubborn tape. Okay, there we go. So that's indeed a filament. Let's see how in frame that is. Ah, it's pretty in frame. Yeah, so it's filament and that's the screen. So that's nice. For printed LED holder, okay, interesting. So this is the accessory kit. Let's see if I can get that in frame. It's the extra extruder and some tools, it seems. So that's good. Also contains the screen of the printer, so that's nice. Don't see a camera yet. That's a little bit disappointing. I also didn't receive a mail about the camera, so not sure what is going on there. We have a... Yep, it's power. That's nice. And before we attach anything, we will have to consult the manual, but that's fine. So that's that part. Box of goodies. Let's do a quick spin around of this. Very nice foam inserts. That's always good. Forbidden candies. That's always good. Pretty impressed with the amount of packaging here. They also include under the bed, it seems. I don't know if we can just slide it out. Maybe should have read the manual, but who knows. Okay, so can we actually slide this out? Not that easily. Nope, we're just going to leave that in for now. You can also already see a few mark points with the red arrows. That's probably the truffle or the screws that needs to be attached when moving the unit. Don't know if the camera picks that up. They're free, so we're going to have to remove those. There was a tool in the box, so that should be good. And we need to take off some tie ribs, it seems. That's a pretty easy job. That's going to be included in the assembly. I mean, that seems fair enough. So first things first, I will put it at its place. Then I will get some dinner. And then we will get to actually getting this thing up and running. So yeah, looking forward to that. Alright, so here we go, a couple of hours later. Let's get this thing set up. So in the time I was away, I've taken the time to set up the Bamboo Handy app, which is really just downloading the app and putting in your password and your account name. So that takes about 50 to 20 seconds if you know your password. It's not too bad. And I've had a quick flip through this booklet. But quite quickly concluded that it only has images and instructions, which are very important. But since we're going to have to execute these things, we're just going to do it with the printer right here on this IKEA Kallax. Let's hope that's stable enough. We will see. So, actually, it's going to take a little bit longer than 50 minutes, I assume, because I'm going to have to check everything with you guys. First step is tool head unlock. It's probably not going to focus, I can't check. Basically it's taking out the tie rib and the cardboard here, so I need a pair of scissors, which are not currently here. It's going to be an interesting episode. With me walking around grabbing tools and stuff. There we go. So let's get that out. Let's not snap the belt, because that would be pretty bad. Okay, so should be able to get this off right. Yeah, that's one. Okay. This feels a little bit more stuck than I would think it is. It's a little bit fitting. Oh, there's another one of those junction things in between. There's also a nice little red flag on it, which is convenient to show you what to remove. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get this cardboard out. That's a bit we shouldn't lose. There we go. So that's our first order. And then we get on to the next order. Let's see what we have now. We need to remove some screws, if I'm not wrong. Spool holder, accessory assembly. Okay, so for this we actually need to turn the machine around. Now, this is going to be a little bit inconvenient for everyone. Here we go, because now I can't see my booklet. Spool holder assembly hole. So that's marked, it's very nice. For this we need the hex key. Okay, we need the anchor thingy. So let me just quickly grab that from the bag. The anchor and a key. Yep. And spool thingy. Cool. And oh, this is interesting. Remove the screws as pictured, and there's one screw not here, which is problematic. So let's see how we can solve that problem. And this is not the correct tool. Okay. I'm going to assume this is. It is. That's cool. It's really not a good idea to actually hold things while using this tiniest of tiniest wrenches. Here we go. Actually just do it this way. Okay, so I'm a little bit worried because I only have one screw and I'm going to need 2 screws, so that's a bit of a disappointment. So let's see how it goes. We need to put this like that. You can actually do this. That's awesome. Nope, we definitely can't do that. That seemed like a nice hack. Let's try that again, shall we? If at first you don't succeed, just try again. Come on, buddy. Hmm. It's nice that they provide pretty clear instructions, but it still doesn't want to cooperate. This is very, very inconvenient. I'm kind of hoping there's like a spare screw somewhere, because if there's not a spare screw, I'm pretty much fucked. Which would be really sad at this stage of the process, because that's going to definitely bum up the time. Already a little bit panicky, to be honest. This should be the easy part, right? Just get the bloody screw in. This screw is not going in there. And I wonder why. I wonder why. Because it can go in there, right? That works. It's just a really short screw, so I don't see this working, to be honest. Feeling like something got messed up here. Also the fact that it mentions screws as in multiple, and I really only see one screw. So that's problematic. Yeah, that's definitely not grabbing any thread whatsoever. Well, so much for your 15 minutes assembly time, to be honest. That's disappointing. So let's see what else we have. We do have some spare screws at least. Okay, so that's cool. SD card. Hot end attachment thingies. Ah, there we go. So that's interesting. And that's what I would assume. There's actually longer screws in the box, which makes sense because the other screws are way too short, and that isn't in the manual. So if you run into short screws, there's your problem. So this should go a lot better. So let's try that again, shall we? Let's just get it in there. It's like the ASMR channel version, because my girlfriend is asleep downstairs. So I'm trying to talk a little bit quietly, so hopefully this thing isn't too loud. That would be a damn shame, right? Okay, there we go. And we can get this one in. So be able to just thread it. Yeah, that's a lot better. We just get this in. So this is our spool holder. I've already seen some people mentioning that it's best to print like a top spool holder because it's way more convenient, which does make sense to me. It's a good way to use a wrench. Huh? Good thing this channel isn't about using wrenches in the correct way. We're just about getting things done. Okay, dope. That's on. We have to do the top thingy, which is this thing, PFT tube anchor. Credit where credit is due. Everything is nicely labeled, so that's very good. So that's this thingy, and we also have two screw thingies. I'm just going to keep all the bags there. So how do we mount this? We mount this like this, and we have like a one screw going here. That's cool. Is this also labeled? No, it isn't, but it's quite obviously the top two screws. So let's get that into place. That's one. We're going to be some people shouting in the comments that I'm using the wrench wrong. Well, actually, this is a way easier way because it's a way shorter turn, so you can get things going much faster than the other way around. The only annoying thing is they actually made this end so that it isn't as convenient. Probably on purpose to keep people from doing this because it's kind of dumb. Well, trying to make up a little bit of time here. Yeah, there we go. That's the problem with this technique. Just hope we don't cross thread it. I must say this wrench is a little bit annoying, to be perfectly honest. I would much rather use a screwdriver for this. Like, it's good practice to use a wrench when doing the last few turns, because you can actually get some good torque on them, unlike screwdrivers, but they're just so slow and we are in a hurry because there's no freaking way we are going to hit 50 minutes. I don't believe it. Maybe they have like an internal team which is highly trained to setting these things up. Oh, to come back to the intro shot, it does actually come with the camera and the LED bar, which I will show in a second. I just wasn't paying close enough attention to it. They are actually a lot more subtle than I thought. I thought they were like these giant add-on units, but they are actually very low key. And there we go. This is horrible, horrible job. We're going to assume this needs to be fixed, right? Does it need to be fixed? It doesn't specify. So we will try to fix it, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to assume it's a feature that can swivel around to better accommodate things, which probably makes sense in some realm. Okay, so our next step is place the PFT tube in position. Make sure both ends of the PFT tube are inserted tightly. Okay, we can definitely do that. So that's actually this thing, if I'm not wrong, which is interestingly enough already partly assembled. So that's fun. So we stick it into the top there, and we stick it into the thing here. Well, I assume we do. That's a hell of a lot higher than one would expect, but this actually keeps the tension on there, so that's functioning, and now it can actually move around, so that makes sense. That's a stress release thing. Okay, so next step, we need to turn the machine around again, and this is actually where we can find out whether or not really bad idea to store bottles beneath this thing. Alright, there we go. Yep, this is where we find out whether or not we have clearance at all, which seems to be fine. So our next order of business is, let me get you off. Now I'm just going to apologize because this is not the right lens for this kind of thing, but there's like these little screw thingies here. So there's one here, there's one back there, and one there. Now we need to take those out because those keep the bed in place. So that's the next order of operation, which you're probably not going to be able to see at this distance at all. So I figured, let me just show it a little bit closer by. So they say use the Allen hex H2, which is probably this one. It's funny, it's one of the few things that isn't labeled. To remove all the screws, sure. Easy enough, right? Right, take left losing. Now, a smart thing they did is these red labels, because the machine is entirely black, they really stand out. It's kind of hard to miss. At the same time, I kind of assume that there's still people that are going to miss them. But it's a lot like vinyl players. They often have like these screws if they have a floating table to to keep it from banging around in transport. And these screws are way longer than they should be. Like, realistically, this is excessive. Well, I guess it's better that they are excessive than... It's pretty pretty sizable screw. So 2 more. Oh, it looks like these little label thingies are actually quite easy to remove. So that's cool. So you can get the red arrows out of there. Let's see if we can do it this way, because I am an impatient person and I have a 3D printer to use. Well, I mean, to use is a big word. At least set up. That's the goal for today. If we can set it up, I'm happy. Oh, this is going to be super annoying. I'm confused. Oh, that's tighter. Yeah, this is very inconvenient. Also, doesn't help that I'm trying to at least get some semblance of a video out of this. Which means I can't just put the lights where I want them to be. So it's all a little bit inconvenient. Also, do note that I have cats which are shedding like crazy right now. So there's cat hair absolutely everywhere. And there we go. So now we can have this. Okay, cool. Next step, we insert the LCD cable into the port. Guys, that's the screen bit, so we shouldn't lose this. And we need to get out the screen. Oh yeah, that's an interesting observation I just had. Is there's actually another one of those tube things, which confuses me a little bit. But I guess it is what it is. Okay, screen. I'm just going to hope this is somewhat keyed. Well, it does assume to be keyed. So that's nice. You're not going to be able to see this at all, I think. I'm just going to lean over. Yeah, not a chance. That's not happening. Yeah, so we need to take this off. There's also a thingy here, which is probably going to have to get off. Take this off. Cool, I've already spotted another thing we need to get off, which I wonder, is this in the manual at all? I mean, it should be, right? Remove cardboard, remove phone. Oh, I actually forgot a piece of phone. Do they? No, they do not specify that. So that's another thing to keep in mind. There's also like a little pull tab here. I'm going to assume that shouldn't be there. So I'm just going to assume that plastic and hot objects is just not a great combination of things. So there we go. That little piece shouldn't be forgotten. Now we get to this part. We need to double check the keying. So it is keyed to go in this way. That should be easy. Just carefully. This is probably going to be one of the more annoying things to get in there, because the cable isn't long enough, and it's also a little bit of a struggle involved with these connectors. But they also can't make it too long, because if they do, you wouldn't be able to get the screen on, all that sort of jazz. So it's fun. If there's one thing I'm really good at, is these like finicky little things. They get on my nerves. It's not going in exactly the way I wanted to. Or should I say it's not going in at all. This also explains why I bought this printer over a fully self-assembly, because I am not a patient person. And the odds of me getting frustrated by this are significant. I think I've just spotted the problem. Is that actually bent out of shape? Yeah, it is. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, cool. So that's the screen assembly, and they tell you to mount the LCD cable towards the opening on the back of the screen. Yeah, so there's like this opening here, and the idea is to get the cable in there. So when you click it in, you don't actually squash it. There we go. Easy enough. Alrighty, next step. Download the app, connect the printer, follow the instructions. That's funny, because we also need to power this thing, right? Guess we don't have to power it. That's just awesome. Oh, that's a short cable. All right. Oh, at least it feels pretty sturdy. So there's that. Good. If I'm not mistaken, this is too short. This is way too short. Oh. Sounds like a problem I'll have to fix later. Let's just get this in here. No. Kind of don't want to run an extension cable for this. So that's going to be a problem. I really don't think I have an option here. Oh, that's okay, cool. One second. Do I actually have a cable I can use with? I've actually run out of battery. Let me know. Let me just shut off the camera for a second. Alrighty, so I found an extension cable, so that's up and running. And it's a little bit janky, but we'll fix it in post. So anyways, we now have the screws removed, we have the screen attached, we have the thingies removed. Let's just quickly double check. Insert tightly. Insert lock. Okay. Download the app, connect the printer to power. Oh, there we go. Follow the instructions on the screen until you get to the page shown on the right side. Scan the code to configure Wiki user code. Okay, so we need to power it on. I'm just going to have to rush a little bit in hopes that my camera doesn't die on me. Before use, please make sure that you've read the music. Yeah, okay. Be sure that you have removed the screws, fixed the hotbed. Yep, pretty sure I have. Select your region. Scan the QR code for your Wi-Fi account. Maybe on that. Okay. So now sure. We get to use Bluetooth to connect, it seems. Confirm to bind. Pair. The codes match. Yep, pair. Yep, pair. Cool. Input Wi-Fi password. I was afraid it was going to happen. So it says I can scan the code. Oh, there we go. There's a little button at the top. That's probably going to work a lot better. Still wants me to input the password. That's multi-problematic because it's a weird password and it's on the back of the router. So, I guess we're going downstairs again. Be right back. Wi-Fi password. Confirm that you've removed all 3 screws with the thingy. Well, we removed 3 screws, so that's good. Let's say confirm. Let's actually remove the booklet. Only printer and same one can be detected. Yep. Let's run the self-test routine to check the status of your printer. Cool. Seems to be showing something. There's a considerable amount of grease on here. I'll actually get you in there. That's fun. Let's take a look, shall we? There we go. It's quite greasy, so I think it's trying to close in on the nozzle now. Okay. So this is probably one of those oscillation checks. You see this on cables as well. So it tries to find out resonance frequencies, which is incredibly annoying because there's actually some beer down here. There we go. Quite noisy. So let's go through frequencies right now. That should help it with establishing sort of a baseline for how much the surface vibrates. So it's a fairly light cabinet thing it's on. So I'm very interested to see how that works out. And one thing that's going to be extremely exciting is the fact that this battery of this Sony camera is absolute crap. Like, I really like this camera for the video quality and features and stuff, but the battery is just horrendous. It's literally the worst thing ever. We're still doing oscillating noise thingies. Feels like we're ramping up in amplitude. I just actually unclip you and Pretty unpleasant noise, to be honest. Probably not the best idea to do this at like 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, well, we already started, so might as well have some fun with it. Still doing some pretty high pitch stuff here. Okay, let me put you back on there. Let me clip back on my mic. So that's the self-test complete. Your printer is ready. Enjoy printing. Okay, dope. So before we actually get to that point, we actually need to remove. It's funny, it doesn't say here anymore. It's actually a few steps back. We actually need to remove this foam as well, obviously, because things are going to get hot, so that's no good. So that's that. Insert filament into the PVC tube. Keep pushing the filament until you can't move the. Let's say new firmware available. Do you want to update? Yep, sure thing. Oh, full version. Let's go. Oh yeah, right. Before we run out of camera, just quickly clip you again. So down there, this is actually the light. Let me not get my finger in there while it's updating. And here at the front, it's completely invisible. But this is the camera. You're just going to have to believe me on that one. So this is where things get kind of interesting. So we need to, yes, filament. One 90 to 30, so that's good to keep in mind. There. It's actually funny that it doesn't say which side is which. It's kind of like insert filament. Sure. It's a little bit odd because it's designed to be for like pretty beginner people. That's not going to work. I was afraid it was going to be an issue. Good thing is we can actually move this cabinet and get this on there, and then we can actually feed it in. Lucky. It's nice that it's semi-translucent, so at least we can see what we're doing. That's dope. Go. This should be. Yeah, that's definitely firmly in. Oh, the firmware is successfully updated, so that's very nice. Now, I believe there's also a SD card included, which hopefully has some files on it. Magnet thingies, very interesting. It's a razor. little retention screw. So the SD card is already in there. Let's find out. So for our first print, we need to select. So that's this. Ah, there we go. 3D Benchy by Creative. Okay. Actually, first need to do this. Select that. Probably a bad move. I can actually see a cat hair there. Yeah, that's clean. It's going to be a bit annoying to keep this thing hair free. I'm going to switch to my phone because my camera is once again in dying land. So let's switch to the phone. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. I can actually see a little speck of dirt. It's already too late. Leave a little bit of muck. That speck of dirt has already been blown way out of there. It's quite a thorough but leveling procedure. Which is good, because it has never been leveled, so kind of neat that it goes through the procedure even though I didn't tell it to do anything. That is moving impressively fast. I'll be honest, if I were to run this, I would probably run it a little slower, because this cabinet for sure isn't stable enough for these speeds. So I guess that's a good test of the stabilization. So some observations, there's like a little bit of stringing in there, and unevenness in there. But you have to take into consideration that this little cabinet is not sturdy enough to handle it at these speeds, so it's a bit uneven. Still though, for the fact that this cabinet was just positively just swaying, I'm actually kind of impressed it even came out as a thing. What do you know? It's not too crazy. And it moves like absolute hell. It's insane. Probably going to slow it down a fair bit when doing some actual printing with it, because this is definitely too fast and this cabinet definitely needs a lot more weight to keep up with those speeds. Because yeah, it becomes a thing. Still, it didn't fail, which I was kind of expecting when it started, because it moved so fast. This entire cabinet literally moved like a centimeter sideways, so I'm impressed it even layered at all. So yeah, it's a pretty benchy. BambuLabs P1P, very first ever run. Let's call it Box to Benchy. That's a fun title, right? I'll include some close-ups and some horrible audio quality. That's live. Yep.